If you've been in personal development for any length of time, there's a phrase you're going to hear repeatedly over and over from probably very early on in your personal development journey, and you're going to continue to hear it. And it is the phrase, you need to invest in yourself. Now, I've heard that phrase over and over for the past almost 3 years now that I've been doing personal development. I've even thought about I need to make investments into myself. But something I've never done is actually dug down into the idea of investing in myself and what that really means. So let's talk about it. Now, what do I mean? I've never really thought about what it means to invest in myself. Well, obviously, everything I've done in my personal development journey has been an investment in myself, into myself. Every book I've read, every conference I've gone to, every course I've taken, those are all investments into my personal development. But the thing that I never really thought about is, do I look at those investments the same way I would look at a financial investment? I recognized and I realized that if I purchased a book and read it, that was an investment in myself. But I haven't really ever stopped to think, did I get an ROI on that investment? Do I think I got my money's worth, so to speak? And one of the things that I realized, and when I started thinking about this, is just like financial investments. Sometimes you're going to get a great ROI. Sometimes you're going to just get a regular, you're going to get your 10%, other times you're going to lose money. There are times in your personal development journey you're going to invest in yourself, and not all of them are going to be home runs. Not all of them are just going to massively change your life, but there should be a progressive of the more I invest in myself with knowledge, with looking at these as investments, I should get a return. 2 weeks ago, I went to a conference, and I'll share a little bit more of that conference with you in a little bit. But one of the things about this is, before I went to the conference, I looked up the conference promoters and the organization that put this on, and there was a lot of negative things said online about this conference. But when I dug into what the people were saying, they weren't really saying anything that made me think this would be a bad investment in myself. They were saying things about, like, oh, I went to that conference and all they did is try to sell you another master class. Well, if you're going to go to a personal development conference, you should not be surprised if that organization has an upsell. You shouldn't be surprised if they have another course or another master class or some kind of membership. That doesn't bother me. Now, I understand people can get pretty heavy-handed in it, and they can really kind of put pressure on you to do those things, but that doesn't bother me, because even before I was really thinking about them investments, I recognize if somebody offers me something, I have the ability to say no. But there were so many people online that were basically, if you're looking at it from an investment standpoint, they were basically saying this is a bad investment, but the facts they were given of why it was a bad investment did not ring true to me. So I paid $30 to go to this 1-day conference, and I also had to take a day off. So that's what it cost me. And it was about an hour and a half away, so I had to drive. So my investment for that conference was $30, a day off. I had to go out to eat during the day, and a long drive. And that 1-day conference, I enjoyed it. There was some really good speakers there. Grant Cardone was there, Kevin O'Leary was there, a number of other really good speakers were there. And at the end of that conference, really, by the time I got to lunch, I thought to myself, I've already gotten my money's worth from this conference. This has already been a good investment in myself, because I learned some things, and I feel they were things that I could put into practice and I could grow. It was an investment to me. Now, at the conference, they had an upsell. Again, doesn't bother me if they have an upsell. But this upsell was for a 3-day masterclass, and it was going to be $200 that following weekend. And so I had to look at that and say, based off of my previous investment in this group, right? The $30, the day off of work, and the value I got from it, do I believe they can produce at least $200 worth of value for this next thing? Had I felt that wouldn't be a good investment, all I had to do was say no. But I looked at it and I thought to myself, you know what? I'm willing to make that next investment. Because when you're talking about financial investments, right, the goal is to be able, the more you invest, the more you can make. Also means the more you could lose, but that's what investment's about, right? I have money to invest. I have an investment opportunity. I look at it, I judge it, and I make a decision. Do I believe I will get a positive return on this investment? When I looked at this 3-day masterclass for $200, based on my experience on the one day, I said, I think I'll be able to get my money's worth. And so I invested in myself. $200. Now, some people will think $200 for 3 days. That's crazy. That's dumb. They're not willing to invest in themselves. Now, here's the thing. Just like investing in finances, there are times that you will invest in something, your time or your money, and you might not get an ROI. But that doesn't mean you quit investing in yourself. I think one of the most powerful things that has really helped me in my personal development is conferences. I've in the past 3 years, I've gone to way more conferences than I ever did in the previous rest of my life. And some conferences, you learn absolutely something brand new you didn't know before. Other times you go to a conference, it's reinforced what you did know. Sometimes you go to a conference and you make contacts, you network. Sometimes you go to a conference and it helps you remember why you're doing what you're doing. All of those are return on investments. But there are a whole bunch of people who think that all conferences are a waste of money. They're just trying to get your money. Well, that just means you're not making their investments. It's kind of like you can invest in bonds, you can invest in stocks, you can invest in crypto over here. Well, you can invest in books and you can invest in courses and you can invest in conferences over here. And in the same way that some people would never invest in crypto, some people may never invest in conferences. That doesn't mean that a conference can't give you a positive ROI when you invest in yourself. Some people would never invest in the stock market. They may never invest in courses. They think all courses are a sham. All courses are a scam. No, just some are. Some are not worth the money you invest, just like some stocks you might invest in are not worth the money. But you can't make a return if you make no investment. You have to be willing to risk something to get the return on investment. So I went to the 3-day course. Now, what was the investment there? I had to pay the $200 for the course. It was 3 days away from my family. It was over Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I didn't have to take any time off. I had to eat out all 3 of those days, another 15, $20 a day. So it cost me something. But during those 3 days, I feel I got a good return on my investment. Now, had I just looked online of all these people, oh, that's just a scam because they're just trying to sell you another thing and another thing, I would have never made the investment. But I did my own research. I made a decision. Now, it could have been that I paid the $200 and took the 3 days and not got a positive return on my investment. That can happen. But here's the thing. As I thought more and more about this, the same way you can have people who call themselves investors, but they're really not investing. They're trading, they're day trading. There are people who are in personal development space, but they're not really investing for a long term. They're not really taking an investor's mindset or investor's perspective of it. They're taking a day trader's perspective. There's some people who will not have even gotten to this part of the video because they watch the first 2 or 3 minutes and then they shut it off. And then they do that to the next one and the next one. We have this mindset of I need an immediate return. I need something immediate, and they're not actually investing in themselves. They're spending hours watching 2 or 3 minutes of YouTube videos and never actually getting to the investment part. They're expecting an immediate return. They're day trading. They're like, I put my money in, oh, take it out. Put my money in, oh, take it out. And I just begin to think about it, and I begin to see some of the parallels between truly investing in yourself that you might not get an immediate return. Now, in that 3-day masterclass, there were certain things in there that I don't believe I could implement right now, but it's now information that I have that I could do a little bit later. There were a few things I could implement immediately from that 3-day course. And if I had a trader's mentality where investing in myself was concerned, I would have said that wasn't worth the money. And that's what I guess the point I'm trying to get to is there's going to be things that they are investments. Watching a YouTube video all the way through is an investment. It's an investment of time. A course, a book, a conference, a membership might be financial investment, might be time investment, might be just away from family investment. But if you have a trader's mentality where I have to see an immediate thing, what you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up being like some of these people online who think all conferences are a scam, all courses are a scam, all books are a scam. Well, where are you actually doing your personal development? And personal development is going to have to become an investment to you. If you truly want to live the more intentional life, become the best possible version of yourself, you have to learn how to become an investor in yourself, not just a trader. Not just saying I'm going to watch a couple of TikToks. That's not investing in yourself. That's day trading in yourself. You might get a little bit here and there. You might get a little bit of information, but it's not the type of return that's going to continue to grow and compound over and over until you're the best possible version of yourself. I don't know if that helped you out, but I feel like I've been doing pretty good on this personal development journey. I've been investing a lot, but changing my mindset on this is to really understand, one, there's a lot of investment opportunities in myself. If I have $20 to spend on a book, I have thousands of books I can purchase. I need to be selective in my investment. There's many conferences that I could go to. I need to be selective in those investments. But at the same time, I need to start looking at it as when I go to this conference, it might not be an immediate return, but it can compound and it can grow and it can increase until I'm becoming the best possible version of myself. And you can do the exact same thing. If you'd like to learn more about becoming the best possible version of yourself and some of the ways you can invest in yourself, you can check out this playlist right here. But until I see you again, go out and live that more intentional life.